On a cold and quiet Sunday evening in late November 2004, in the seaside town of Nairn on Scotland's northeast coast, where the air carried the briny scent of the Moray Firth and the streets of Crescent Road seemed almost too ordinary to ever be remembered in headlines, a 30-year-old banker named Alistair Wilson, a man who was at once a devoted husband to his wife Veronica and a father to two small boys, while also building a reputation in the Bank of Scotland as an ambitious yet conscientious professional, found his life abruptly transformed into the subject of one of Britain's most baffling unsolved crimes. For as the sun dipped away and the night settled into routine, with the children tucked into bed and the television murmuring quietly, the doorbell rang and Veronica answered to find on the doorstep not a neighbor nor a friend, but a stranger, a man described later as neatly dressed, perhaps in his 30s or 40s, holding in his hand a plain blue envelope, an object so simple it should have meant nothing, but instead became the central symbol of a mystery that would stretch across decades. For on the front of that envelope was written not Alistair's name, but another, Paul. And when Veronica, puzzled, fetched her husband, Alistair came downstairs, exchanged a brief and quiet conversation with the man, accepted the envelope, and retreated inside to look at it under the hallway light, appearing unsettled and confused as he turned it over, perhaps weighing whether it was some mistake or whether it carried a meaning known only to him. And though its contents were empty, its presence spoke volumes, and after moments of hesitation, Alistair chose to step back outside, leaving the comfort of his family to re-engage the man, perhaps to ask why, perhaps to challenge him, perhaps to seek clarification. Yet before any answer could be given, the visitor drew a small caliber pistol and fired 3 times into Alistair's chest, the sound of gunshots rupturing the calm of the night, the wife screaming in horror, the children startled in their rooms upstairs, and the stranger fleeing into the darkness, his footsteps vanishing into silence, while Alistair collapsed onto the doorstep, bleeding, gasping, fighting for life that could not be saved despite frantic attempts by Veronica and the desperate rush to hospital, where within minutes he was pronounced dead, leaving behind a widow, 2 fatherless children, and an envelope that offered no explanation, no message, no ransom, no justification, only a single name that would torment investigators for years to come, because why had this man, so ordinary in appearance, been chosen as the target, and what significance did the name Paul carry? And was this killing a message, a warning, or the consequence of secrets hidden behind the respectable image of a family man in a quiet Scottish town? And from that night forward, the case of Alistair Wilson became a haunting enigma, a story retold in hushed tones and shouted headlines. A puzzle with too many missing pieces, for although police quickly launched an investigation, canvassing neighbors, appealing for witnesses, combing the area for traces of the gunman, and scrutinizing the life of the victim, they were met again and again with frustration as the suspect remained a ghost. No fingerprints, no DNA, no clear motive, only the description of a man in a baseball cap and jacket whose identity has never been confirmed, and as journalists swarmed, theories bloomed like weeds in the cracks of certainty, some suggesting it was a targeted hit ordered by criminal interests, perhaps tied to Alistair's banking career or money laundering networks. Others whispering it was a case of mistaken identity, that the killer had meant to find another man, maybe another Wilson, maybe another resident of Crescent Road. Still others suggesting a personal vendetta cloaked in mystery, perhaps someone from Alistair's past or someone entangled in disputes the public never glimpsed. And yet no theory was ever sealed with proof, leaving the blue envelope as the single most haunting clue, a stage prop that seemed designed to tantalize but never to reveal. And in the days and weeks after his murder, as his widow struggled with grief and the children too young to understand faced a lifetime of absence, police broadened their search, calling on experts, reviewing connections in the financial world, analyzing every phone call, email, and document linked to Alistair, yet nothing emerged strong enough to break the silence. And as months turned into years, the case grew colder. Investigators left to revisit the same thin threads, appealing on anniversaries, placing the story on television reconstructions, releasing sketches. Yet still no one came forward to confess, and no one identified the mysterious man at the door. And so the story hardened into legend. The envelope murder of Nairn, a case that felt almost cinematic in its bizarre detail, yet tragically real for the family torn apart. And as forensic science advanced, detectives hoped new tests might yield traces overlooked. But still the void remained, leading many to ask whether Alistair himself knew why he was targeted, whether his brief glance at the envelope told him something unspoken, whether his decision to step outside again was driven by duty, curiosity, or fear, and whether his last conscious thought was confusion at betrayal or clarity about a truth that died with him. And in that haunting uncertainty lies the enduring grip of the case, because the murder of Alistair Wilson is not merely an unsolved killing, but a story of questions without answers, a riddle dressed in a blue envelope, a tragedy that struck a family, a town, and a nation, echoing year after year as his children grew older with only memories in the shadow of mystery where explanations should be. And his wife carried the burden of not only loss, but of never knowing why. And the community lived with the knowledge that a killer walked free and perhaps still walks among them, carrying secrets locked away, while investigators still, even after 2 decades, refuse to close the file, for they believe that somewhere in the web of human memory lies the truth, and perhaps one day conscience or chance will force it to light. But until then, the envelope that killed a banker remains unsealed, its silence louder than words, its emptiness more telling than letters, and its presence a symbol of how even the most ordinary evening can open the door to the most extraordinary mystery. A mystery where time does not heal but deepens the wound, where answers are not given but demanded, and where justice, though delayed, still waits in the shadows, patient as the sea that continues to strike the Nairn shore, indifferent to the secrets buried in the lives of men. In the end, the mystery of Alistair Wilson's murder lingers like an unfinished chapter, the blue envelope, a silent riddle that holds its secrets close. Justice remains elusive, and the truth waits in the shadows, taunting both investigators and all who follow the case. For more untold mysteries and chilling stories like this, subscribe to Dark Thread Chronicles and step deeper into the darkness where answers hide.